This week, Britain sees a new Prime Minister, Boris Johnson, take over in unprecedented circumstances, a minority PM succeeding another minority leader, Theresa May. Mid-term, and with the UK facing the political and economic uncertainties of Brexit. A general election isn't due until 2022, so only the 160,000 members of the Conservative Party have had a say in replacing Mrs May. That is less than 1% of British voters. The ambitious Mr Johnson, darling of the party's grassroots and one of the figureheads of the 2016 campaign to leave the European Union, was always the favourite over his rival Jeremy Hunt. But what should Britain and the world expect from a Johnson premiership? Well, the leadership race was compared to a game show in which players opt for a mystery prize rather than taking the duller, safer option of the easier-to-read Mr Hunt. So what is in the Boris box? Will he stick to his pledge to pull the UK out of the EU by October the 31st, come what may? Can he do this, given the parliamentary arithmetic is against him? It's very hard to predict. But one of the ministers who resigned rather than serve under Mr Johnson said that as Foreign Secretary he had displayed a tendency to fly by the seat of his pants, and during the closing days of the leadership campaign he displayed a somewhat casual regard for the truth when he played up his strengths as an entertainer to woo hard Brexit-leaning Tories with an attack on EU regulations. Brandishing a kipper, this is a British breakfast delicacy for those viewers in doubt. It turned out to be a red herring. Johnson claimed, wrongly, that it had to be kept on ice because of Brussels, but this food hygiene ruling was of UK origin. This deliberately cultivated Boris persona of creative chaos belies, his cheerleaders say, a solid record as Mayor of London, where he was liberal on immigration and sought to govern for the neediest Londoners as well as for business interests. During that era, he brandished a brick at the Tory party conference to demonstrate his support for house building. Investment on infrastructure could be a positive feature of a Johnson premiership. So as Tory leader and Prime Minister, Boris Johnson will need to bury the memory that while plotting to take over from Mrs May, he was heard to say, business, and to convince people beyond the Tory ranks that he is the bricklayer Mr Johnson, not the kipper-waving Boris.